Previously on Follow the Leader. Today we're playing Random Access Histories by Ben Roswell. For those of you who are new to this game, here are the basics. There is a term called pixel bloom that refers to the light from a single pixel spilling outward, blurring into and illuminating its neighbors. When scientists were asked to name the manner of information sharing between an entangled mech and pilot, they remembered the seeping glow of figures on the otherwise dark cathode ray screen. When the bloom occurs, memories, thoughts, emotions, and sensations may bleed from pilot to mech and back again. So, for the setup, as a team, we play our side's best hope in the conflict against an overwhelming enemy. It drew the two of us together and continues to bind us as we go forward. Together, we'll choose 3 adjectives from a list in the doc to describe the threat that we face. And then we'll choose one thing that sets the threat apart and makes facing it overwhelming. We always have a theme of God killing on FTL, so we could go with Angelic.
How about unpredictable?
Ooh, yeah, good call. So the next thing that we have to do is we have to describe the mech.
Let's see. I think I'm leaning towards animalistic. I see holy here, but it makes me think maybe profane?
Ooh. So I'm gonna make a pitch for 2. Because I'm a sucker for, like, grizzled veteran meets bright-eyed rookie. I would pitch either storied or ancient.
Yeah. I like storied. Let's go with storied.
So, the next step is for you to choose a name for your mech.
My mech is Kiki.
And I'm going to do the same process for the pilot. I'm gonna go for loyal, for 1. Not seasoned. Ooh, how about cloned? With the implication of genetic modification. And I'm leaning towards awoken, though. I think awoken, and I think that's gonna be the one that I pick that sets me apart. And I am going to be playing Marnie Sands, who uses she/her pronouns. Just because something's made for something doesn't mean that it's great when it gets scuffed up, you know?
I think Marnie feels Kiki retreat, and there's a sense of heat and anger and that kind of thing where you know that you're angry and you know that you're going to lash out at the next person who talks to you, and so you walk away. And so she pulls back a bit, and what does she say? She says, I think she just says, no, that's not what pilots are for. And she kind of falls silent for a while.
I think Kiki can feel Marnie withdrawing too, and because of that, I don't know that she necessarily realizes that Marnie didn't really understand what Kiki was saying. And so, Marnie's just like, you know, Marius is probably going to be back here soon. I don't think I want to be here when they get here. So I'm just gonna, trying to be a little chipper, but completely failing. And, she makes a sort of like sloppy half salute as she beats a retreat. We now return to your game, already in progress. So, I feel like we need to get more Winna in here. I feel like Morwenna has been discharged provisionally. I don't know, would it be more fun? I know it would be a little bit to juggle having Marnie and Morwenna and Kiki in the same scene, but I almost think that it would be fun for that to happen. Like,
Yeah.
Kiki's still in the hangar bay,
Mm-hmm.
and Marnie's there with trying to do some more repairs, and Morwenna walks up, looks exactly like Marnie, except like she's got an arm in a cast and a sling, and the opposite legs in a cast, and she's got like the single crutch,
Mm-hmm.
just like hopping, because that's really the only way that she can manage.
Uh-huh. I think... So what is Marnie doing with Kiki when Morwenna comes in? More repairs?
More repairs. I think maybe she's up on top of Kiki this time, maybe doing something like recalibrating the cannon or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like the more the cannon gets used, the more the profane runes wear off, and so she's actually like redoing the runes or something like that, something less technical.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to play Morwenna, or do you want me to play Morwenna?
How about I play Morwenna?
Okay.
Because I imagine Marnie's just gonna kind of like be in the background for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll play Morwenna for you.
Okay.
I think she walks up and, well, hops up and just has, a big smile on her face, and she's just like, "Hey, buddy."
I think Marnie feels like Kiki brightening, like the equivalent of like a dog sitting up, ears perked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think she even turns her head to look. God, does she start wagging her tail? She starts wagging her tail. And I think Marnie hears Kiki say Morwenna's name, because I don't think that the bloom maintains between old pilots and mechs.
No, I don't think it does.
So I think it's almost like it's a reflex, right? She's talking as if she's talking to Morwenna, but Morwenna, of course, can't hear her.
Mm-hmm.
So Marnie's just hearing it.
And I think Marnie, like, maybe flinches at first, and then calls down to Morwenna and says, Kiki says hey. And Morwenna, like, the smile gets bigger, and she's just like, "I'm real glad you made it out in one piece."
And Marnie hears I was so worried about you.
Can Kiki talk out loud, or can she only talk to Marnie?
I kind of like it if she can only talk to Marnie.
Okay.
It makes this so much more entangled.
Yeah. And Marnie communicates that down to Morwenna, who's just like, when she realizes that the only way she's going to be able to get what Kiki is saying is through Marnie, like, her smile falters a little.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiki's known Morwenna long enough to know that, like, that stings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Morwenna is probably never going to hear Kiki's voice again, and that fucking sucks, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiki... Oh, not
Go ahead.
Kiki. Sorry. Not Kiki. Morwenna nods and says, yeah, back at you, buddy. It wasn't great, but here we both are.
I think I'm going to play the 7 of Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Marnie gets just a really intense sense of deja vu, because Morwenna and Kiki were partnered for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But Kiki's storied. And so there was a clone before Morwenna.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that sense of deja vu of, like, having done this before, having had a similar conversation, with the similar sense of grief to it, but also with a relief, because there are only 2 ways that the pilot mech bond is broken.
Mm-hmm.
One is you get another pilot, and the other one is your pilot dies. And so, as painful as this is, for Kiki, it is, just head and shoulders above and better than the alternative.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, Marnie can feel the echo of Kiki's sadness, like, see it reflected in Morwenna's face, but also with that relief that I think that Morwenna maybe hasn't come to feel yet, because it's a little different for the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
One pilot will have one mech, but one mech will have multiple pilots.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's the memory that happens. And I think coming out of the memory, Kiki, like, lowers her head, her enormous head compared to Morwenna, and kind of, like, just barely touches her nose to Morwenna's chest. And she says, I'm just so glad you're okay.
Marnie has stopped all pretense of working again, and she looks down at Morwenna, and Morwenna is barely paying attention. Like, she's got her eyes closed, and, like, she's kind of shifting so she can almost hug Kiki's nose.
Mm-hmm.
And Marnie says what Kiki said, but I think Morwenna is just crying at this point. And I don't think Marnie approaches or anything like that. I think she just, like, tries to give Kiki and Morwenna space.
I think after Morwenna leaves, maybe she has an appointment to get to or something like that. Kiki turns her attention back to Marnie, and she says, thank you for helping me talk to her.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I think Marnie kind of half-heartedly smiles and says, helping our mechs do things is what pilots are for.
I think Kiki snorts, and she chuckles a little bit, and she says, that's true. I wouldn't be able to get anywhere without you all.
I kind of like leaving it there.
Mm-hmm. Sink or desync, do you think?
Ah, that's a toughie. I think maybe sink. Because I think that brought us to a closer understanding of each other.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to take a quick break? I should have been using that time to think of a scene. Do you have any ideas?
Here's one.
Hmm.
What if we get, like, cut off from the rest of our battalion and are stranded somewhere, waiting for pickup?
Yes, good. Love it. My kind of shit, uh-huh.
I mean, I hate to potentially be injuring Kiki again, but also...
That's what mechs are for.
Or alternately, Kiki's mostly fine, but Marnie's the one injured.
Yeah, so we were on a bit of an away mission. And I think our battalion walked into some kind of trap.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other members either were killed or were also able to retreat, but retreated in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where we don't know where they are. And theoretically, you know, the orders are to scatter in such a situation as this and, you know, meet up again at home base.
Mm-hmm.
Only if you can't be followed, yada yada, etc., etc. But I think that we were damaged in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think one, Kiki's navigation system is on the fritz.
Mm-hmm.
And she's sustained a few other, like, physical damages that hamper her movement. To the point where it's slow going beyond the fact that they only have a vague heading of which direction to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how injured you want Marnie to have been, but I think we have stopped traveling for the night. Or, alternatively, because Kiki doesn't really have to rest, she's just kind of walking slowly in one direction that they hope that the base is in.
Mm-hmm.
When the scene opens.
So, I don't think Marnie has, like, a sucking chest wound or anything, but I think it's one of those, like, very bullshit cinematic TV show style thing where, like, you know, an injury to her side, the her suit is stained with blood, and, like, she's wincing with every step. Maybe the cockpit has been, like, the integrity of the cockpit has been compromised. And she's just like, anyone you can walk away from, right?
Yep. If we can get home, we can be repaired.
I'm not sure I want to go home. I don't want to know what Marius is going to say to me next time.
Don't worry, I'll protect you from them.
And through the bloom, Kiki gets, like, the mental image of Marnie hiding behind one leg and then Marius, like, chasing her around that leg, yelling. Which is, you know, it's very clearly not what Marnie thinks is going to happen. It's just, you know, the image that pops into Marnie's head that she's too tired to keep out of the bloom.
Mm-hmm. I think Kiki modifies the mental image to her holding Marius under one paw. While Marnie, like, runs away.
It's funny because, like, Marnie just passes the mental image back of, like, Marius, like, finding a radio and going over the intercom and, you know, the whole base hearing Marius's tirade.
I like the thought of them just passing this image back and forth to each other, like modifying it a little bit each time.
Yeah. Just this entire elaborate scenario to distract Marnie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after a moment, like, or, you know, after doing this for a little bit, Marnie stops passing the mental image and she's quiet for a little while, and Kiki wonders if maybe she hasn't gone to sleep or something like that, except, you know, Kiki can see her vitals, presumably, and can tell that, you know, she's still awake.
Mm-hmm.
And then Marnie says, "I'm sorry I'm not her."
I think Kiki is a little taken aback by this, and after a moment, she says, "It always takes some getting used to. It's not you."
I'm sorry it had to be like this. I know I'm supposed to be, like, top of the line super soldier, but still let us get got.
I think Kiki laughs, and there's a brief mental image of just a line of Marnie's, all a little different, like a different haircut, or a different way of carrying themselves, or a different expression. And she says, "I have known tens of you, and know that I mean it with the utmost fondness when I say a super soldier you are not."
Marnie gets a little indignant and is just like, "Hey, I was supposed to be engineered to be the best of the best, okay?"
You are the best because you, and there's like, there isn't a word, but there's the sensation of, or like the general concept of awoken. Yeah, you are perfectly suited to this because you are concept of awoken. Not because you are a perfect soldier. But I wouldn't have you any other way.
I think I know what memory I want to play. I've just got to decide what it's tied to. So I'm gonna play the 9 of Hearts, and I think that this is a memory that happened after the one with the shitty doctor. And I think that this features prominently the lead scientist on the whole project, the whole clone project. I think that this scientist's name, she's Muriel, and she's who all the clones are based off of.
Okay.
She looks like Marnie, but she's like in her 50s maybe. Doesn't have any fun hair colors or anything like that. And like, this is Marnie is being inspected after, like, something went wrong during a training exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Marnie is just, she's frustrated and she's upset and she's pissed at herself, and, like, she doesn't even notice Muriel walk in, and she's just kind of, like, railing at nothing, just kind of, like, berating herself out loud. And Muriel's just like, hey, don't say that about one of my creations. You're perfect just how you are. But I think Marnie feels a little bit of bitterness towards the memory.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the memory of that's what pilots are made for is a bit stronger. And so she has had a trouble internalizing that, but she can't help be reminded of it with what Kiki said.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's actually the pain of her injury is, like, she gets jostled a little bit, with the terrain, even though Kiki's taking it slow.
Mm-hmm.
And that pulls her out of the memory. And she just kind of closes her eyes and is just like, listen, I'm gonna try to get some shut-eye. We were a ways from base. I don't know. Do you mind if I switch it to autopilot?
I don't mind. Sleep easy. I'll keep watch.
That feels like scene.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
All right, sync or desync? It feels a little like desync to me.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of ambivalent, so whatever you think.
Okay, yeah, it feels a little like desync because I don't think Marnie particularly cared for being reminded of Muriel saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do we want to say we finish this and then we go for 2 more memories and then we finish it out?
Mm-hmm. So total of 8 scenes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay. Let's see. What if we've been given some intelligence? Like, this is after we've recovered, and we're ready for a new mission. What if we've received some intelligence about a potential host encampment that may be harboring something of value that we can either steal or destroy?
Sounds good.
Because we need some good angelic combat, I feel like. I think we're already out in the field when this starts, and Kiki can feel like Marnie trying to stretch her senses because, she's awoken. She's supposed to be able to see things that other ones of, her clone batch can't. And she is trying to get a sense for what's out there, trying to feel out, like, if she can feel anything about the supposed artifact, item. She's not sure. So she's not 100% paying attention to Kiki or necessarily where they're going right now.
I think Kiki is happily taking over the lion's share of navigating as Marnie does this, until Marnie feels Kiki stop short because she has maybe picked something up on her sensors, and so she calls Marnie's name to get her attention.
Marnie, like, snaps out of it and like she doesn't physically look up. She just like opens her eyes and is just like, what is it?
I'm not sure. I think there's something up ahead.
Marnie like refocuses, and I think she's like, yeah, I can see it too. It's not showing up on your regular sensors, but it's there. Do you think there's some sort of host tech we've never encountered before?
I think Kiki like runs through not quite all the battles she's been in, but like just like is rapidly going through the memories, and she says it's not anything I've encountered, at least.
Maybe that's what we're here for. Let's get a closer look. And she kind of like becomes more active in Kiki's movements and like engages, like, I don't want to say like a stealth mode, but like engages the quieter running mechanisms, so that way they're making less noise and have a lower profile kind of thing. I think this is what we're looking for. And I think, God, what would be cooler? Part of me wants to say it's almost like a giant Stargate.
Ooh.
With a link back to where the hosts are coming from. And this would explain why we don't know where the hosts are coming from, because we've never been able, their transportation tech is completely undetectable to us. And we've never been able to get close enough to see it for ourselves.
I like that, yeah.
So there's just this towering ring. Maybe this is the flaming wheel. It's just this giant ring that rotates above the ground, and it sparks with energy. Like right now it seems like it's dormant because there's not much going on, but periodically like sensors that look like eyes, or maybe they are eyes, open and close around the perimeter of it.
Good shit.
So what do we do?
I think Kiki crouches low. She's huge. Like, you can't really hide, but, trying to keep a lower profile.
There's probably something about the way that she's engineered aerodynamically that makes her more difficult to pick up on like radar and LiDAR and stuff like that. So whether or not that's the tech that they're using, like at least she's built for a modicum of stealth.
And she says, sending data back to home base now. And there's like almost like a recording running of all of her readings on this thing. As they stand there.
I think it's that point that one of the eyes that's lower on the wheel slowly opens, and at first like it just seems like it's staring out into space, but then like the pupil dilates then narrows as it like locks on to our position. And like all of a sudden it flares into life, and it's like a chorus rings out with just like this chorus of voices and like clarions, and it's not a klaxon, it's a melodious sound, but it's loud and there's no mistaking why it's sounding.
Right. So I think that as home base realizes the information that Kiki is beaming back, she and Marnie receive orders to collect data for as long as physically possible. And I almost want to say, like, they remotely hamstring Kiki
How so?
Like locking up her joints so we can't run away.
Yeah, I like that. And Marnie's just kind of like doing the metaphorical version of like, trying to wrestle with the steering wheel to get the car to go kind of thing. And she's just like, God damn it. We're sitting ducks out here. What the hell?
I think for the first time that Marnie has experienced, Kiki is beginning to panic.
Yeah. There's like rising fear in Marnie's chest, but she's like trying to stamp it down and trying to like figure out a way to get around the basically like the kill signal that they've sent for Kiki's motor controls, and it's just like, damn it, damn it, damn it.
And Kiki isn't transmitting any words to Marnie, but her mind is racing, and her attention is pulled in two directions. One is doing the same thing that Marnie is doing, but on the like code level. And the other is this memory I'm gonna play.
Hurt me. Oh, shit.
So I'm playing the Ace of Diamonds. Aces are high in this game. And I think what this memory is one of the times that Kiki's pilot died. And I think it was a similar situation. I think Kiki and her then pilot Morgan were doing some kind of reconnaissance and came upon some information that was extremely important. And they were essentially, I think at that point, maybe Morgan was determined to stay and see the rest of the information. I think maybe she was like, no, this is being able to get all of this information back to home base is more important. But I think the result of that was just them getting their ass handed to them in just an incredibly violent way. And like there's the...
May I make it upsetting?
Absolutely.
May I suggest that it was one of those things where, like, Kiki had to limp home on autopilot while Morgan was lifeless in the cockpit the whole time?
Oh yeah, I'm glad we're on the same wavelength here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think the cockpit particularly was mangled. Like maybe whatever the host was had lance or something. And just like skewered Kiki with it. And Marnie gets the kind of buffered because it's a memory, but the feeling of that connection, the bloom just going dead. And the host leaves Kiki for dead because her pilot is dead. And Kiki has to limp home. And I think like Kiki and Marnie slam back into their present bodies when this memory is done. And I think Kiki howls, and with some kind of monumental force of will combined with whatever Marnie is doing on her end. I think they're able to like one of Kiki's paws move.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh shit, this is working.
Yeah, I think Marnie just kind of like shakes the memory off and she says, that won't be us. That's not this time. And instead she changes tactics because instead of working on motor control, there's weapon systems. And it's like, if this thing isn't here anymore, we've got no reason to stay. Maybe that'll break the kill code.
Nice.
And so she like aims the weapons at the Stargate, and like every single thing that Kiki's got that doesn't involve like physically moving, and just points it at the gate and opens fire.
Hell yeah. Good shit. I think that should be the end of the scene.
Okay. I definitely think that's sync.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. Last round. So I do have an idea for a scene if you don't.
Oh shit, it's my scene.
Yeah.
What is your idea?
So my idea is immediately following that what we didn't have the exact intended effect, because maybe the gate did get destroyed, but in doing so it sucked us into the other side.
Ooh. All right. So I think there's like at the tail end of the last scene, there's just like a whole bunch of dust is kicked up. There's a lot of like flashing lights and also this thing potentially exploding, and both like just plain vision and all of Kiki's sensors are going haywire as a result of everything that just happened. And I think that gradually the dust begins to settle, and like dust does, it settles from the top down. And I think the first thing we see is no longer a brilliant purple sky, but a blue one.
Ooh.
And I think the movement locks on Kiki's systems suddenly completely disengage, and Kiki doesn't wait to figure out what happened. She just runs.
Oh boy. I think maybe where Kiki is running is, I'm imagining almost like the desert in like Colorado, where it's red and there's all these bands of other colors and the rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's like towering rock spires as well that just like curve over each other and almost look like a rib cage in some, from some angles. And so we're like running through this. Marnie's recovering and doing her best to like sense what's coming up, and like she's trying to feed as much information to Kiki as possible, but like everything around here reeks of the host, which makes sense. We're here, we're where they're presumably coming from. I don't know that we actually see the host as we're used to. I almost wonder if it isn't like how in Pacific Rim the kaiju were explicitly created for going through the portal to the other side, and what we think of as the host isn't actually the host. It's actually these other beings that we see. And I don't know if we even necessarily recognize these beings as I don't know, I don't want to say people necessarily, but we don't recognize them as being what they are at first because they're so wildly different from what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
But we're passing all of these beings that are like turning towards us. And do you think they're giving chase?
I think not immediately. I think they're too surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I think they look different out of the corner of our eyes than they do when we look at them straight on. And I think as we pass them, we see them like turning towards us to follow our movement, but whatever, they don't decide immediately to follow because I think they just didn't expect this at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kiki asks Marnie, what do we do now?
So I think Kiki is met with a memory, and it's a memory that's not, it feels very offhand, and I'm playing the two of clubs, and clubs is memories tied to places or objects.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, what Kiki sees is a sphere of what looks like it could be flesh being passed to Marnie, and the words, "This is what they feel like." And so Marnie turns it over in her hands and in her head, and she nods, like it's giving her a bit of a headache to be so close to a sample from the host.
Mm-hmm.
And Marnie's getting a similar headache from being so close, but she tries to push through it, and she says, "Well, since we're here..." And before she can finish the sentence, I think she feels something like a sharp stab of pain that Kiki can feel too. It's that strong.
Mm-hmm.
And she, like, her head whips up and she says, "This way. If we can go this way, and if we can make it, and if we can do damage, I think we can really fuck them up."
I think she gets a flash of teeth and gets the sense that Kiki is smiling, and she says, "Fuck yeah." And, like, still running basically full tilt, like, does a sweeping turn and heads in the direction that Marnie indicated.
Do you think that's seen?
I think so, yeah. I think it's better to leave it there. I think that's sync.
Yeah, that's 100% sync.
Alright. Are we ending the game here?
I think so. With ending the game, play comes to close whenever you both agree that we've reached an end, which I think we have. Next, we count up the total value of the cards in each pile, with suit cards equaling 11 and aces equaling 12. And we use these totals to figure out the general shape of the post game for you and your co-pilot. So once we've decided what the general shape of the epilogue is, create some images from this life. We take turns flipping over cards and using their suit and value to shape post-game moments. But rather than role-playing them as you would memories in the main game, focus on making them brief tableaus that capture the feel and tone of our future. And we do this 3 times each. So, I don't think we necessarily need to tally up the totals entirely. We've got 14, 28, 39 sync, and 13 desync. If I've been doing my math right. At the very least, we've got significantly more sync than desync. So I think that through the power of our connection, we're able to push through and, like, we find the core that we're looking for and destroy it.
Mm-hmm.
And are able to push through and get home.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Definitely. Do you want me to flip first, or do you want to flip first?
You can flip first.
Okay. I think this 3 of diamonds is the feeling of pride that swells in Kiki when they return to base and offer up their report.
Love it. So I think the 7 of diamonds is Morwenna finding us in the hangar as we're coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And just like Marnie's happy to see her sister and happy that her sister's happy that Kiki is back safe.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no sense of moroseness or anything. There's just like, yay, my sister's happy.
Mm-hmm. This 6 of hearts is Marius scolding Marnie for getting Kiki damaged, but in a way that's just like long-suffering. Somehow they've had this argument like a million times before. Like maybe this is significantly farther in the future. And Marnie just like leaning up against one of Kiki's legs and listening tolerantly as Marius goes on and on.
I know we're not supposed to role play out, but I do want to add the detail of Marnie like kind of jokingly showing the mental image of Marius under Kiki's paw.
Yeah, I think we see Kiki's tail wagging as that snapshot fades.
I've got the Ace of Hearts.
Oof.
I think this is a little bit later once Marnie's been like completely cleared for duty and like not, you know, because I'm sure they both got pretty banged up during that. And I'm sure, you know, this is probably several weeks later, but then Marnie's sisters, like at first Marnie doesn't know what's going on because one of her sisters grabs her and like puts a blindfold on her and then spins her around a bunch of times and then takes her to a room where a bunch of the other Sans clones are throwing a party for her.
Oh.
And it's like the closest she's ever felt to her other clones.
That's good. I have the Jack of Clubs. And I think this is Kiki showing Marnie some like almost like a glove compartment kind of deal, like some small compartment in her cockpit that every single one of her pilots has left like a memento in. And Kiki asking if Marnie will leave something too.
And I think Marnie says, I'll put something in there, but I'm not leaving it. And, Ace of Clubs. I'll just continue on. I think that the object that Marnie doesn't leave because she doesn't have any intention of leaving Kiki, but the object that Marnie puts in the compartment is one of her dog tags. Partly because, like, Kiki is effectively, like, next of kin, and partly because it's like the conflict's over. She's not going to need dog tags anymore.
Good. Good game.
Ooh, yeah. Ben Roswell, you write good games. I know that this game is effectively written for me, and it worked. So, yeah. That was really good. Thank you so much for playing it with me.
Yeah.
Shall we do outros?
Yeah. Am I going first?
Yes.
I've been Danielle. You can continue to find me on the internet at Redtail Talk 90. You can find my home podcast, The Room Where It Happened, over at Roomware Pod on Twitter. Come check us out. We're about to start season 3 soon. Which will
By
be...
the time this comes out, it might already be going.
Yeah, honestly, yes. That is true. We're in season 3. It's some Urban Shadows and Appalachia bullshit.
Yeah, now's a great time to jump on. I don't imagine that season 3 will be too far in by the time this drops, so you shouldn't have too much to catch up on. It's a good time.
Yeah. And if you like Animorphs, check out my other actual play podcast, Dumb Kids Playing Hero, where I GM. Or check out at Escafil Files, which is the book analysis podcast of Animorphs that I do with Jade.
Hell yeah. And I've been August. You can still find me on Twitter at Harpydora, still find the games that I have written at harpydora.itch.io. You can still find the podcast at FTLcast on Twitter, ftlcast.com, or patreon.com/FTLcast. I have no idea what stuff we're going to be doing by the time this comes out, but I promise it's going to be cool. So, with that all said, shall we clap?
Yeah.
Hi, it's August, and I just wanted to thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed us, please consider leaving a rating on your podcast platform of choice, telling your friends about us, or tweeting about us using the FTLcast hashtag. We are also part of a nonprofit podcasting guild called Standing Stones Productions. We do a variety of shows, including The Room Where It Happened and Dumb Kids Playing Hero, 2 actual play shows, and a Steven Universe discussion podcast called Gay Space Rocks. We also do live streams at twitch.tv/standingstonesprod. You can keep up with everything that we do on Twitter at stones_standing. Unfortunately, Standing Stones was already taken. Your support means a lot. Thanks again!